Sorry, I can't find my cursor there.
It was muted.
It's my, it's the YouTube.
Oh,
I couldn't find my cursor to. All right. And
we have an iPhone with no name. No number. I wouldn't make them a co-host unless we know what it is. Okay, it's 6:01, so I'm gonna kick this thing off. You okay with that? Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is the Hideout Utah Town Council regular meeting and continued public hearing, January 15th, 2024, although it's on a different day than our usual day due to the workshop the town had on last Thursday. I'm calling the meeting to order and I'm going to call roll. So let's see, in the room with me is Councilman Severini here. Councilman Gunn here. Chris Byer.
Here.
Carol Hazelton.
Here.
Thank you. And Bob Milberg.
Here.
Okay. So we have a full council, and we'll move on to the swearing in of council member Bob Nailberg. Bob was reelected in the recent election, and this is the first meeting since then that he was able to attend, and so we're going to swear him in. I'm going to turn it over to Alicia, who will read the comments.
All right, Bob, can you turn your camera on?
Yes, what would you like for a background?
Probably where you are. It's
Should
just
turn it
fine.
on.
I even comb my hair for this. My wife put hairspray in.
She's good to you.
All two
Yeah.
strands? Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
go
all
ahead
two
and
of
raise,
them.
go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me, please.
Okay.
I,
What's blocking the camera?
his hand.
You back it
Oh.
up just a little bit?
Here we go.
There you go. All right, I state your name,
I, Robert Nadelberg, otherwise known as Bob,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of the state,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Yay.
You're official, Mr. Bob.
Finally.
Thank you for all you do. Okay. We have 3 sets of minutes to look at. So let's get going. The first set, we're gonna look at all 3 for comments, and then we'll do the approval at the end. See if we can save multiple approvals. So the first one is the minutes of the work session, and
Can we do the July 13th first?
that's the one I'm doing.
Oh, sorry, yes. Forgot it was work session too.
The meeting and work session of July 13th. That's the first one. Um, I personally reviewed them, I didn't check for spelling and whatever, I'm sorry, but content is fine from my perspective. Council, any comments or questions around the July 13th meeting minutes? Not for me. Carol, have you had a chance to look at them?
Yes, I did. No
Okay.
comment.
Thank you. Chris, I see you smiling, so I take that as you're
I'm
okay.
smiling. I'm smiling because if Carol has no comment, they're good.
They're good.
Okay, so, and we'll assume that everybody's happy with those. We'll move on to December 5th. December 5th was the Board of Canvassers meeting, a special meeting to certify the election results. And that pretty straightforward set of minutes. So any comments on those from anyone? Nothing here. Okay, we'll take those as ready to be looked at. And then last but not least, the meeting minutes of December 14th, 2023. This is a fairly large package because we had a lot of discussion, a number of things, including the Bloom property. So there's a fair bit in there. I did read through them. They seem to be directionally correct, but I have to say there's a lot of content. So I can't recall if I've got where she quoted some of the council members and so forth, if you're happy with those or not. So this is your time to speak up.
Yeah, I've got something on this one,
Okay?
Alicia. I didn't think on, page 7, or on the December 14th notes, lines 8 through 20 were well paraphrased, so to speak. I thought we should capture a little bit more strength about, what certainly what Bob and I had to say regarding, the doing something, and even Mayor said something a little bit stronger. And the reason I'm suggesting we correct that section from lines 8 through 20 are because, that was probably where we got the most input from. And, when I was sitting over at, in our, our workshop last week, I got some comments like, we weren't doing as much as we should. And this was a real good example of, I think, where we all wanted to take some action. I don't know if we did. I think that should be a follow-up. We're gonna discuss it, right? But, between December 14th. So I'll be glad to work with you on the wording, but, that those probably, more than one word. So, maybe we can go back to that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's fine. So we'll put those on for the month of February. It's not a quick fix. Other comments from council on the December 14th minutes? Might as well get them all in now before Alicia does some more work on them. Okay, so that seems to be the one section that needs a bit of work, so we'll leave that for you, Alicia, and Ralph, to work through that. Okay, then what I would like is a motion to approve council minutes of July 13th, 2023 and December 5th, 2023.
I'll move.
Second,
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
So thank you. All right. Jonathan, because he was not at the council session, is elected to pass on the vote. So abstain. So, Chris. how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ralph, how do you vote?
Yes.
Carol?
Actually, Mayor, I was not present for the July 13th town council meeting, so do I need to abstain from that?
Yes, and then let me know how you feel about December 5th.
Yes, I approve.
Okay. And well, I think I'm just making a note and then let's see. 7. 15, okay, and Bob,
Yes,
okay. So we've got Bob, Chris, and Ralph, so that makes it a quorum for the, July 13th meeting, and then, we have all 4 for, the December 5th meeting. So, both are approved. Thank you, everybody. Thanks. The next item on the agenda is, I'm speaking loud because Alicia told me I had to talk louder for the microphone, so I'm trying to remember to do that. Follow-up items from the council minutes, anything in those sets of minutes that we looked at tonight that we talked about, we're gonna talk about the speeding thing later, but anything else that needs to come up for an update?
Not to me. I think we captured a lot of stuff in that July workshop.
Yeah.
That we're working on as well.
Okay, then we'll move to item 6, which is public input. I'll open the floor for any attendee to speak on items not listed on the agenda. The way that happens if you're on the Zoom is you use the raise your hand functionality. If you are on a cell phone, then or any kind of phone actually, it's *6 or 9, I can't remember.
Sorry, *6.
*6.
To raise your hand. and
To raise your
star
hand,
nine to nine. Star 9 to unmute.
And I'm looking at the attendee list, and so far I don't see any hands, I mean. Okay, no hands, no *6s, so I will close the public input and move on to item 7, the continued public hearing. The Bloom project folks, have made a change in their attorney, and therefore they're not ready to talk tonight. So we're being asked to continue this to the February 8th, 2024 council meeting. So if the council doesn't have any objections, then I would need your approval to continue to a date certain of February 8th, 2024.
You just
So
want to
moved.
comment on that?
No, I think we have to,
Vote on
yeah, I think, Polly, do we have to vote on that? I think so.
Sorry, yes. I had a hard time
Yeah,
finding my mouse.
Yeah. Okay,
So also move.
okay,
So I think Bob was the first and then Jonathan.
No, then I'll second it.
sorry.
Sorry, Bob. Didn't hear you.
no. Hey, are you guys able to hear me okay? I got a pretty bad signal.
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you just,
All right, yeah, because I'm having a hard time hearing you. All right, thanks.
I'm trying to talk louder. All right,
Oh.
so let's vote. So I need to pull the council for continuation to a date certain of February 8th, 2024. Chris,
Yes,
Carol,
Yes,
Bob,
Yes,
Ralph,
Yes.
and Jonathan.
Yes.
Thank you. Now. All right, let's move on to the agenda items. The first thing is we have with us tonight, Jack Walkenhorst from All West Communications to talk with us about what they learned from the internet outages in the month of December and what's being done to try and ensure that that doesn't happen like that again. So Jack, welcome. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks, Mayor. Alicia reached out to me, which I appreciate. Reached out to the company and Matt, our president, asked if I could handle this, which I'm happy to do. It's good to be with you tonight. She mentioned 3 dates in December, and I want to clarify that that's correct. I had December 10th, December 25th, and December 26th. Is that correct?
Those are the big ones.
Okay. I looked through the records, had customer service help me on the 10th, and I found some tickets that were called in out of Deer Mountain, but I didn't find anything out of Hideout. So I think there was a small outage, but I didn't see any tickets out of Hideout on the 10th or 11th.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
Jack.
would agree, Mayor. I don't recall that either. I do remember the 25th and 26th, but I don't recall having an issue on the 10th.
Yeah, Jack, this is Ralph. I asked you guys to join and I asked Alicia. So I did have some issues with you guys on the 10th as well. It wasn't all that long, so it may have affected a small group, but the 25th and the 26th were the big ones, clearly. But there wasn't, and I did call in on the 10th. And you reported that there was an issue from the person I talked to. And I think on your own website, you reported something. So go back and look at your own notes and see what happened. More importantly, you know, if you can address the issues that occurred on the 25th and 26th, I'd say that would be really important to us and where you're going, what caused the outages. Or it looked like almost a continual outage, but then it was hiccuping at certain points. So those are my concerns.
Yeah, I'm happy to address the problems on the 25th and 26th. And just to give you a little background, our system, we have, our system throughout Utah and Wyoming, and we have 4 different redundant backbone routes out of our system to tier 1 providers. And what happened on the 25th and 26th is one of those backbone connections out to Zayo in Wyoming. Actually, they had a bad fiber jumper in one of their offices. And so basically those 4 backbone connections load share the internet traffic. And so all 4 of them are working at any one time. And when that one went down, well, it didn't go down, it started to just degrade because they had a bad fiber jumper. And that was on the 25th, Christmas Day. And so what'll happen when that happens is it'll bounce or it'll go in and out. And so that'll affect your connection. Even though it's only one of them, it still will affect a connection. And so it took us a little while to determine what was going on. It took us a little while to get in touch with Zayo. And when we did find out what was going on, we basically shut that connection down so it did not continue to cause problems throughout the system. So that's what went on the 25th and 26th of December.
Jack, do you have a mechanism to automate your failovers and detection of nodes and backups that go down rather than, 25th and 26th? You probably have a skeleton crew. So
We do.
So I'm guessing what kinds of automated mechanisms do you guys have? Can you just high level give us do you have your own software, so to speak, monitoring those connections?
We have various failover connections, Mayor. Some within our own system and others within those backbone provider systems. That one was a little bit of a one-off. Normally, if you get something like that, the connection will go down and it will automatically reroute. Where that one was bouncing, it was going up and down. That was what was causing more problems over the 25th and 26th. And of course, happening on Christmas Day and the next day, skeleton crew. But yes, we have failover systems, we have monitoring, we have people on call. That one took a little longer because it was not in our CO, it was in Zayo's CO. And so that's what took a little longer on that one. So
I guess, Jack, following on Ralph's comment, I mean, it seemed to me that was a learning for you guys. And if at least one office should have noticed the on and off nature of that connection. They should have been getting a pop-up on their screen every time it kicked out. And hopefully we learn from that and say, when you see that behavior, the best thing to do is shut something like that down and just load share across the other three.
I agree, Mayor. I agree. It was a learning experience, and I think all of us note that each day we run into one-offs. Hopefully not too often, but it does happen. So
I have a couple of questions. After a really long wait, I spoke with a customer service representative on the 26th that told me that it was a software issue. Is there something else going on, or was that person misinformed?
I don't know on that. When Alicia reached out to us, I went directly to our president, who is overseeing, of course, all operations, and he told me directly it was a fiber jumper. So I don't know on that one. I can't answer that.
And secondarily, I'm wondering if there are any plans to refund the affected customers for the 2 days, the 25th and 26th.
I can certainly check into that, but I can certainly check into it. What you pay per month and what a day or two outage would be. So I can certainly check into it.
Yeah, it's not the money so much, three or $4 is not, but the importance of the internet now is critical to most functions, whether it's business or personal. And I think many of us use it. Some people use it for their primary phone system as well. I don't, but I know people do. So that's a kind of a lifeline these days. I'm glad we have fiber. I mean, I was here when, we worked on that, a number of years ago. So all good stuff, but it sounds like the glitch was really in the way you monitored or automated the monitoring of the systems. You didn't have a good process. So automated software to, monitor failure is really important. I work in the tech industry for a number of years, so I work for AWS. So we know where outages go, and what it means to our customers. So, I hope you take this in good spirit, but also in a way that, you're gonna attack the problem in a good way. And we'd love to hear if you build not just people processes around this, but you can build some automated technical processes. Does that make sense, Jack?
Agreed. I mean, we take our service very seriously as well, and understand that you don't have internet, it's not a good thing. So we take that seriously as well, and appreciate all of your comments and suggestions and insight.
Hey, Jack, this is Chris Byer.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
I am just still so delighted that we have fiber and that All West came into town and we were able to, make the franchise agreement work out, and that we have this opportunity to have fiber. I think we were one of the first in the area to get it. And I think that's been a game changer for Hideout. So I want to thank All West for that and for, installing, making it available to the entire city of Hideout, and really do appreciate that. I'm one of those people who works from home, so I'm on it all the time. I know Ralph is on it all the time too for work and others. Yeah, I do understand how horrible it is to have an outage on a holiday and then not to have to take a long time to figure out what the cause is. So yeah, I appreciate Ralph's criticisms, at least about monitoring. But I wanted to mention I did log a ticket, and unfortunately I wasn't like Jonathan. I did not stay on the phone and wait for customer service person. I don't have that level of patience, so I, gi- I give Jonathan a lot of credit. I just went ahead and just logged a ticket. But I didn't hear anything back on the ticket itself, and the only way that I sort of knew what was going on was to go to your website, as I recall. Do you have any advice for customers who, if there's an outage in the future, how they might get information about it and be kind of reassured that that you're working on it and that it's not just localized?
I know whenever there has been an outage in my area where I live in Camas Valley, I've gotten notification of that. So let me follow up and make sure that there wasn't a glitch there as well, Chris. If you
Yeah.
didn't, if you didn't get notification of it, let me follow up there as well. Because systems are in place to notify customers if we have, a planned outage, and those are usually taken care of at night when there's less usage. But customers do get a notification of those and should also get a notification of a bigger outage. Anything over 10 customers triggers an outage notification. So let me follow up on
Well, I'm
both.
definitely not getting those. I have noticed that you do maintenance sometimes because members of my household are sometimes up at 3 or 4 in the morning. So when we have noticed, a little small outage for a short period of time. So I know I'm not good at getting those at
Okay.
all. I'm getting zero notification. So that would be much appreciated. And I don't know how many other people aren't getting them, but that would be very helpful.
Yeah, let me follow up on those.
Let me piggyback on Chris's comment, Jack. I spoke to a very, very nice, helpful person on the call. She took my phone number. She sent me a test message on a text to confirm that she had the number right in the automated system. And I said, great, so it'll send me a note when the system comes back up. And she said, absolutely. I never got a message from that system.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let me follow up on those things as well, Mayor.
I just wanted to tell
heard
Rob.
one more thing,
Sorry, go ahead.
Jack, and that is, so there was a period of time, I don't know if you're doing it to Chris's, point too. I called in and you were doing upgrades at between 7 and 8 AM and in the morning here, which I thought was a little bit of an odd hour, because at least I start my day at 7. Do you do your upgrades in the middle of the night on weekends, or am I totally incorrect? Because the person I talked to said, oh, we were doing an upgrade at that point. And I know I work on East Coast time as an example. So when do you do your upgrades?
If it's a major upgrade or something within a CO, those are generally done between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. If it's an upgrade, something in a cabinet or maybe changing some splicing, something like that. Sometimes those with a smaller number of customers affected, sometimes those will take place, like first thing in the morning or toward the end of the day. Outside, a little more needing of light and things like that, but bigger upgrades, more customers affected, or at night, smaller upgrades, localized areas are sometimes done during the daytime, yes. But always or at least should always be accompanied by a notice saying this is going to happen, this is when, so that people can plan if they
Yeah.
are working or
That would be
something.
really great if you, even for those, so we don't characterize those as outages, because I have called in I did get the information, but, everybody does upgrades, so if you can even post those on the website, that would be great, yeah.
Okay. Great suggestions.
Okay, anything else for Jack?
No, I just wanted to say we have phone service here as well. The phone service wasn't impacted during the Christmas outage, at least as far as we noticed in my household.
Yeah, and phone service, other than IP phone would not have been affected by that, Chris. So
Great.
separate system.
Well, Jack, thanks. I really appreciate you taking these comments and feedback from us. I agree with that, Ralph. The notifications of any kind of maintenance or outages that could impact us, if you have that capability, to let us know individually, and if you don't, then at least to post it someplace central where we can find it. So, because yes, we've had a number of outages between 3 and 4 in the morning when, like I said, members of my household are here or up and online. Okay. So, yeah. So thank you for taking that into consideration. I think that would be a good customer service for us.
Agreed. And
Yeah, totally agreed. Hey, Jack, I would just suggest maybe that once every 6 months or so, you join our meeting, give us an update on your service. You're such a critical aspect of everyone's lives and emergency systems and phone calls. So we'd love to hear from what you guys are doing and, spend 15, 20 minutes with us like you are every 6 months or so often. So Alicia can help us with scheduling you guys, because I think you're one of the most critical services that we have.
Great. I'm happy to do that. I've taken notes. I think I've got everything that we've talked about, and I'll follow up with Alicia on these items that we've talked about, and then I'll plan on joining you in about 6 months, come July or in that time frame. So happy to do that.
Yeah, I want to add, I've been getting fiber here is one of the best things we did. I mean, kudos to Kurt and Ralph and the folks that were and Jerry that were really pushing this few years ago, right before COVID. We had the fiber in right before everything shut down. It couldn't have been better timing as far as I was concerned. But I think that's one of the really important things that we've been able to do. So thank you, Jack, and thank you, Mayor, for making that work with the road and such.
Yep. Thank you to everyone.
Okay. Thanks again, Jack, for joining. And we'll see you in 6 months.
All right. And then I'll be in touch, follow up on these items too. So thank you, everyone.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is presentation and recommendation of the traffic study regarding speeds on Shoreline Drive. I believe Corey's here with us tonight. I gotta get my participants list up.
Yeah, he's here.
So let's see if we can we have speaking. So Corey, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself, should be able to do that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Mayor Council. Excuse me, sorry.
And I can go through this for you, or you can just do the summary. Tell me what you'd like me to do as far as the presentation goes.
Okay. And I have Mike Jensen with me, and I'll have him do the detailed component, but I'll just kind of give a little introduction. Anytime we do traffic studies and evaluations, there's a lot of standard protocol that are associated with them. And as you're looking at controlling an intersection, the common practice is to do a warrant study, which evaluates that specific intersection and identify its needs. And there's standards within the MUTCD, which is a manual traffic control, uniform traffic control, and other professional standards which guides those recommendations. If, for instance, you do something that is above and beyond what is quote quote warranted, then there you open yourself up.
Corey, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just cut out for a second for some reason.
Oh, okay. So for instance, if you put a traffic sign at an intersection that doesn't have sufficient volume on that traffic sign, then and there's an accident because somebody starts to run that traffic sign and other people are assuming something based off of the signs that are before them. That is the types of things that we're always concerned about. The other component that we're always concerned about is trying to put I don't know how best to phrase this, but let's say it this way: trying to put the least amount of control in a situation and still be able to allow and manage the circumstances. One of the unique things about Hideout is we all seek in traffic control. We all seek for these narrow roads, and because people get the sense of how fast that they can drive. But as they've narrowed up the right of ways, it's created a situation where it limits your ability to be able to put in medians or put in a traffic circle in a situation like this intersection that we're talking about, or do different things like that that limit the sight, limit your visual perception of where you're going, close in your surroundings so it makes you feel like you should slow down. And so as our right of ways are limited, that's one of the problems. Like in this situation, one of our recommendations, if we had a little wider right of way, would be, hey, let's do a traffic calming circle here. Put a median in the middle of that traffic circle. People can't see through it. They physically want to slow down as they approach that so that they can gauge and understand and make a decision to their next scenario. So that's one of the unique things in this situation where you don't have a lot of right of way to play with. It does limit some of your scenarios. So I'll turn the time over to Mike, and Mike can do a quick evaluation of what as he walks through this, and then we can answer any questions that you might have, Mayor and Council.
Where's the summary page of that?
It's after.
It's after all this? Okay.
Should be on one of the bookmarks.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
If you click on that little arrow where it says item number 2 traffic study, about midway down, no, down. You click on that. This arrow here.
Oh, I gotta get to there, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
that one. Right there.
Go ahead, Mike, sorry, I was just trying to get up
No, you're good. I just want to make sure you can hear me all right. So Corey had mentioned, we one of the things is the narrow roads there, and we were asked to kind of evaluate a little more specifically with this last summary recommendation that we did for the intersection of Recreation, the Recreation Way or Drive, and Shoreline Drive, and the concern that the city has with excessive speeds at that area. And if you went through the report and looked at that there, this specific width right there at on Shoreline, especially at this intersection, is just the pavement width itself is only 22 feet wide, which is a pretty narrow roadway. And the evaluation that we did there we went out and did speeds with a speed gun, and you can see in the report that the average speed, although it's signed for 20 miles per hour throughout that whole roadway there, the average speed was 25 miles per hour. So the average vehicles are traveling about 5 miles 5 miles per hour over the posted speed limit there. And 33% of the traffic that travels through there was actually traveling above 25 or 27 miles per hour. The total number of vehicles that we had clocked through that area was 246. And that was between the hours of like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so, as Corey was saying, MUTCD has some parameters for stop signs. I know that was one of the considerations the city was wondering about there. And in the report, it shows a little bit more detail of the requirements for that. But there's the volume of traffic going through there does not warrant a stop sign placement based on MUTCD standards. And also, there's not enough pedestrian traffic there or accident reports. So that kind of makes it that, you know, a stop sign there is not warranted by MUTCD standards. Some of the things that we considered that would be good measures for the city to consider in this area, since we're not able to narrow the road width anymore or narrow those lanes of travel by putting in traffic circles like Corey had mentioned, or median restrictions, or just different ways to route the traffic to cause the alignment of the road to change slightly as they come to that intersection, which causes them to slow down. Those are all measures that are done on wider widths to try to narrow it down. You're already in a narrow situation there. So some of the things that we looked at in other studies and other traffic studies and improvements that have been done in various areas in the United States. One of the big items was the fact that your shoreline drive is not painted, it's not traffic striped, and just the visualization of having striped lanes and making those narrower pathways visually causes people to want to stay within that lane of travel and causes them to decrease their speed. And so that was one of the recommendations we had come up with, is that to double yellow traffic stripe the shoreline drive. And in combination with that, I know the city has put in the radar sign, stop sign there to the east of that intersection. And that was another recommendation that had been done on a lot of other studies. So I commend the city for trying that and implementing that. And another way that can be a little bit more emphasized is to put in speed legends, which were talked about in the report. And basically what that is a big bold stamp on the pavement stating your traffic limit. You know, this is 20 miles per hour here, and a big kind of visual that draws your attention to that and makes you want to put your foot on the brake and make sure you're not exceeding those limits. And so in conjunction with the double yellow lines, we'd recommend also putting in those legend stamps by that radar sign, and then possibly the location to the west of that intersection. And then thirdly, just the presence of traffic control, of police enforcement. If you could talk with the county about maybe putting a little bit more emphasis in this area, showing a little bit more presence, especially if you implement these improvements there, to kind of alert the residents and those people that are traveling through there that, hey, we're serious about this here. This is signed at 20 miles per hour. We need you to travel this speed, stay within your lanes. And if we give you all the visuals we can here, if you're going to exceed that, here's the police enforcement now that's going to, write you a ticket for speeding through those areas. So these are measures that can be done on a narrow roadway, which you have. With the road improvement project that we helped you guys out with recently, we did have some speed tables or speed bumps that were proposed in there, and they were the town decided they didn't want those in there. So this would probably be the next step to go to if these narrowing and non-physical measures did not produce the results that you were hoping for. You'd have to go into more vertical control where you have these speed bumps that cause people they have to slow down. But one problem with the speed bumps is it does slow down emergency response vehicles also, because they have to slow down to go across these areas as well. So that's one thing to consider with those kind of installations. But that's kind of the quick recommendation summary that we would recommend the town consider in this situation. And that's kind of my presentation on that.
Hey, Mike, this is Ralph, on the council. Just a couple of questions. You said stop sign wasn't warranted. You can't narrow things. Painting pavement could be useful in the summer, probably not all that great in the winter when you've got snow and maybe. But one thing that, you mentioned early on the numbers, you said 240, you said you monitored 247 vehicles. 33% that were 7 miles over the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. That's 82 cars, roughly. That seems like a big number to me, that are, going pretty fast in that. So, going backwards, so to speak, from stop sign not being warranted, we have the radar. Are we collecting data from the radar itself as to the number of cars traveling over 7 miles an hour beyond the speed limit, and how effective, are we gaining effectiveness from using radar and the sign that's popping up, you're traveling at such and such speed? So are we gaining effectiveness from that? Are we, or has it caused any impact? And what are the things that could cause impact besides, maybe we can do something electronically, so to speak, that will not only monitor the numbers either going up or down, the time of day, we can get maybe some better picture of that. Well, so anyway, any thoughts around those kinds of things in terms of data collection, improvements, impacts by signs? Give me your view.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I know there are radar signs that do have the ability to collect data. I am not sure if the ones that the city has put in there, if they do collect that. Do you know that, Corey?
I know it, and the 4 that are in place today do collect data, or have the ability to collect data. We have additional ones to go in that aren't as smart. They're simply radar feedback without a data system, but we have some we can pull data from for sure, like the one coming down Hideout Trail to the roundabout, and the one going down Shoreline towards from the roundabout end towards the state park end also collects data. So I'll get the engineers looking, pull in that data.
And I mean, my point is, can we see if we're, what the trends are, and if we're being effective with whatever mechanisms we're using to put up there, so to speak, so we can get some feedback that, try something else, or this is working.
Yeah, we can do that. I got a note to do that. Bob, your hand is up.
Yeah, hey, I don't know if this question has been asked before, but is it legal in the state of Utah for us to put in the radar cameras whereby it takes a picture of your license plate if you're speeding, and then you get a nice speeding ticket in the mail? Are we able to do that in this state?
It is not legal in the state. We can take that picture and have a conversation with someone, but we cannot use it for fine purposes, for citation purposes.
All right, and why I have the floor for just a second, I just want everybody to know, mostly the council members, everybody I have talked to on that section of shoreline, they all want stop signs, they all want speed bumps. I like the idea of putting the markings in the road, that'll add to a sense of speed. But this is something that we need to get done. I know the data says the stop signs may not be effective, but I really think we should put them in anyway, based on what the residents want. That's it.
Thank you, Bob. I will say that I have already instructed, Dan and his team, they have they have created what I call portable stop signs. They put them into big cement blocks that we can put out as a starting point. I think, the points that, Mike and Corey made about the traffic easing with the stop signs is valid. We're gonna have to monitor them when we put them in, because if people start to ignore them,
Yeah.
And the people coming the other direction assume that the person's gonna stop because they were in the intersection first, and they don't, and cause an accident, then we have a whole nother issue. So we'll have to take a look at that and be really thoughtful about how we do that. But we can, the guys are ready, to do that, and as soon as we get, a couple days without 10 inches of snow, because they're driving 24/7 right now, and they need some sleep, we can get those in place as a trial.
It's too bad we didn't get this in last month when there was no snow. But
Wait, hold on a second. My hand's up. I know you guys are in the
Yeah,
room and it's hard to
I was trying
acknowledge
get
you
to
folks.
Chris. I really was, but I was responding to Bob first. Go ahead, Chris.
Yep. Hey, I really want to say that I appreciate this memo and and Mike's presentation, because this is one of the things that I had problem with in the last meeting. Is we had a report, but we didn't have any recommendations. It didn't seem like it went far enough. So I'm glad to see this memo. So Mayor, I'm just want to say I'm really not in favor of putting stop signs in, because I mean, did you not read this report? And it says that they're not designed, stop signs should not be used. I mean, when you're saying stop signs, you're talking about a three-way stop, right?
Right.
At an intersection
Yeah.
that doesn't have enough traffic for it? Or what are you talking about with when terms of additional stop signs?
That's what we're talking about, the option of, Chris, and you heard, we're hearing from the community that they'd be open to seeing that.
Yeah, but hold on, but we paid for engineering study.
I know.
Engineering study, wait,
suggesting-
let me finish. The engineering study cited standards that say stop signs are not appropriate there. Yeah, and they gave us additional measures. So like striping, for example, that seems like a perfectly good thing to do, is put the double yellow line in, and we'll see what that does. I don't know when that can be done, maybe not during the winter, but perhaps as soon as it gets warm enough to paint the road. I don't know what temperature it'd have to be, but that seems like a reasonable suggestion. Whereas stop signs, I actually think, are completely wrong based on, I mean, why would we go against the engineering standards for this area? It doesn't warrant stop signs. There's not enough volume, and there's not enough pedestrian volume. There aren't crossings, etc. It doesn't warrant stop signs. Why would we put stop signs in?
The measures that are listed above, solid, double yellow lines, white lines, speed legends, those can't go in until April at the earliest, probably more like May.
Okay.
And, we're being encouraged to do something. I can't put things in the road because of snow removal at the moment. So,
But Mayor, the roads are already narrower because of snow, so that will cause people to
they
slow
are
down.
that.
Right? This study was done in October. It wasn't done in the winter when there's already snow and the roads are narrower. So we're trying to fix a problem that is a non-winter problem. I'm going to say non-winter problem, although I'm not going to say people don't speed in the winter, but I'm going to tell you people are definitely driving slower right now. when there's snow or ice or slush on the road. So we're trying to fix a non-winter problem right now during the winter in a rush, which doesn't feel right. It feels like we had an October study that tells us that when it's not winter, that yes, people are speeding. And yes, there are measures to be taken. And yes, there are relatively low cost opportunities like a solid double yellow line. And also, perhaps not mentioned in the report, but not mentioned in the memo is, more signage to remind people that they're in a residential neighborhood and for them to slow down for that reason, guilt them into slowing down or encourage them to pay attention and use those kinds of measures, as well as the radar stop signs, which I think have been at least partially effective. I know every time the thing flashes and I see I'm going too fast, I slow down. Now, other people might just, blast through it anyway, but it's effective on some of the people. So I'm really questioning why we would put stop signs in when it is contraindicated here in this report.
Thank you, Chris. Valid point. I'd like to go back to what Bob was talking about in terms of, so to speak, radar with cameras. And even though we can't do anything in terms of, ticket enforcement with a fine or whatever, if we see the same car or vehicle, and they're, 5 or 6 times out of those 82 that are, speeding, could we send them a note and say, you have been at least, you are causing some concern on your speed or, at this point. And, hey, if a person does it 10 times, they get on our hall of shame, I mean, they just do something like that, but it's better than a ticket. And, those neighbors, of that individual may just go out there and say, stop speeding, so-and-so, and put more onus on the community around that area to enforce that through identification who the speeders are.
We'll look at that, Ralph. I think there's some merit to that thought process. Carol, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. During the retreat, I had a chance to have a conversation with Valerie, who lives on Shoreline Drive in the area that seems to be most affected by speeders. And I specifically asked her if the speeding was going on during the winter time. And she said, absolutely. She said, one of the concerns that the residents have is they are out there walking their dogs. And people are speeding by in the winter time just as much as in the summertime. And the other issue I'd like to make is those roads are often, even though they are plowed, they are covered with snow. So if we rely on striping or we rely on painting on the highway, or not the highway, but on the road, oftentimes in the wintertime, it will be covered up with snow. So those are my comments.
I agree, Carol, about the snow on the road in the winter. It makes it much harder to see roadway signage. But, there's 8 months of the year that it would be effective anyway, or somewhat effective, hopefully. So I don't think that should deter us from doing it, even though it is tough in the winter to get down to the blacktop.
I was at the same table with Carol, and Valerie was at that table. One of the things that she said, and that struck me, and that go to the notes from the last meeting, was she felt like, no one did anything after the last meeting, nothing came out of it. And so far, nothing's coming out of it. So, I think to Bob's point, I think, there is do something, we gotta try it, we gotta put in have some action specifically after this meeting to do some things that will address the issue and also gather us additional data. So that's my only comment, and that was a comment. I think Carol and I were both talking to Valerie and just felt like, they felt nothing was happening. And, you do a study and nothing happens. So I think coming out of this meeting, let's have some firm action,
Tell me what you think you'd like us to do. If we don't put signs in to stop them, we can't do anything on the roads right now,
I know,
because of the weather. I can put barrels back up, but they get in the way of the plowing and they'll be destroyed every time we plow, especially at night. So that creates an issue. So I don't know what else to do. The only thing I know I can do is put some signs in
on the side of the road.
on the side of the road, which
And maybe some radar, can we have some additional?
it takes a little while to get those. We have signs.
I thought we had some.
We have some radar signs we can put in.
Yeah. So if we can do a couple of those things, I know we're now in hard ground and stuff.
Yeah, and we put them in.
I get that, but let's do what we can do coming out of this meeting. So we've got an action, and we've got some actions, that go forward.
I have a couple of points. If I understood this report correctly, the study was conducted at the intersection of shoreline and recreation, is that correct?
We also did data further down, but they've been addressing this one particularly.
Okay.
But we've data all the way down the road.
All right, the residents, as I recall, the residents that called in the last meeting, and I wasn't sitting in this chair, but I was present. And a lot of the residents have spoken to me about it, is that they live along this stretch of shoreline between the two ends of Overlook.
Right.
Which is further north on that road, but down the hill, where cars headed north tend to accelerate somewhat. And so the concerns that I've heard are both for people walking their dogs, and I happen to know there is at least one small child that lives along there as well. So I would echo the comments that others have made with respect to let's take some action and try something. Rather than just sit back and wait for something to happen. I myself have had a close encounter of the uncomfortable kind along that stretch of road. So I as Ralph has once said in a meeting, I think we need to have a bias towards action here. And the action, I defer to the mayor. Personally, I'd like to see us try some stop signs. If they don't work, then let's try something else. But I think we need to do something in an attempt to alleviate what sounds to me like a public safety risk. And whether that's a stop sign, speed sign, or some other type of sign, I just think we need to take some action in an effort to try to alleviate this. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, John, no, I was going to comment, Jonathan. So I agree. I think signs are a good thing. I just don't think stop signs are a good thing. I think signs are a good thing. Whether the signs are a reminder to slow down, children at play, or it's a sign that blinks at you really brightly if you're going too fast to get your attention. There's actually one of those signs. It's a speed radar sign. It's on, forget the name of the road, but it's in Park City, and it does blink at you. It blinks the same color as police car lights, blink at you when you're going too fast. It's actually, I think that's really effective because it just kind of reminds you that, hey, you're breaking the law. But I do think signage is a way to start. If you need something, dramatic, you had the barrels in the road. I didn't love them, but they worked. And they're only a stopgap until we put something more permanent in there. But I think signage would be the first thing. I know people have not the vertical speed control. Why have we ruled out vertical speed controls?
We haven't. We can absolutely put speed bumps.
Why don't we talk about the vertical speed controls, especially the one that allows the emergency responders to fly right through, but is you have to at least hit it with two wheels of your car. maybe not four wheels. That to me seems like a reasonable vertical speed control to consider, because like if you have a sports car, for example, you could angle it so that you could get your only two wheels over or whatever. My point is that's a thing to think about as well. I don't think we could put those in right away, right? Because it's winter. So
Right.
I think the best thing we can do now is signage, and perhaps, you know, like I said, those barrels would only be a temporary stopgap till we could get something better in place.
And maybe we need some non-standard signs or what I would call out of the norm signs. There are signs that say children playing.
Yeah, we have some up.
I mean, let's put enough signs in there to give people warning. This is an area that you really need to slow down. And, there's kids out there potentially. No one wants to hit a kid.
Or put up a puppy dog walker sign. I mean, that's a non-standard sign, If
Yeah,
people,
exactly.
dog walkers, watch for dogs walkers or
Have one
whatever,
of each.
whatever.
Have more than one of each, just
Yeah.
place them strategically,
Yeah.
at those areas around the intersection that maybe we don't put a stop sign in. Or we do, we kind of take, we go against the advice of, that.
Well, we certainly have, we have the ability to put up a variety of signs, that we can do. That's not a problem. We can put in some, flashing lights, which tend to cause people to slow down just because they're flashing lights, until they get used to them anyway.
Right. We need a different color at that
But
point.
we may have to change them around,
Yeah.
or move them, but we can do that. We can put signs up as well as radar signs. We can put up flashing lights, on barrels that would be on the side of the road, but still would cause people to at least react.
Can we do something where we can collect some data? So
Yeah.
are we being, so.
Yeah, I've got,
radar-
yeah, I've got that
Camera,
on the list,
whatever.
I've got that on the list,
Okay.
And then, we can also, one of the things I've been working on with the developer at Deer Waters is a street light at the entrance to Deer Waters coming from the state park going up that way to light that intersection, so.
Well,
we
yeah,
have-
Mayor, that would be a great place for a neighborhood. What did they call it in the study? The neighborhood, announcement sign, the community gateway identity signage. That would be a place for that, where, hey, you've just come to Deer Waters, great community, slow the heck down, something, something like that for the community gateway identifying signage so that people coming up from the state park realize it, in case they didn't notice the townhomes and driveways, that they're actually entering a community where people live.
I think we can find one of those, Chris, at least lease one for a bit.
Well, or no, I was thinking the developer, well, we didn't talk about this. I know that there's going to be some kind of a community gateway signage over in Deer Springs, but in Deer Waters, I don't recall, maybe Thomas remembers, but I don't recall the developer wanting to put that kind of signage up at the entrance, but something like that would be valuable at that point, announcing your entry. Deer Waters, at that point, that could be helpful.
Is there a way for us to not just buy a whole bunch of signs and then have them do nothing, so to speak? Can we lease the
Yes.
signs
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that we can have more variety and we can change them up every 4 to 6 months? Without
Absolutely.
investing
They can do
in
that.
buying these, Yeah, okay, let's have someone look into that.
Is that the airline model, Ralph, where, the safety message? Oh, I should be asking Bob this. The safety message change periodically, it's can be humorous just to get people to pay attention.
They put a few bucks into those, certainly.
They do. I love some of those.
And every now and then people pay attention to them.
Exactly, Bob. You want people to pay attention to them but the point is,
those, popping out, more people have to be paying attention to the seatbelt sign anyway.
I think at this stage, it matters less exactly what we do and more that we do something.
Yeah, yeah.
And we try different things. If we
Yeah.
find something that works, great. If what we do doesn't work, we can try something different.
And collect the data that
To find out.
us that to.
Yeah, hey, at the very least, can we pass a resolution just to do
Data
something?
collection signs on hand, Ralph, to collect 20
You know,
spots on the road.
I hear you.
I think we place them strategically.
Should we
Bob,
move
Bob,
them
what were you
to-
gonna say there? Is that you? There was Bob. Go ahead, Bob.
I don't know.
I don't want to walk away from this meeting without doing anything tonight. Something's getting done tonight. And seriously, the people who live in the affected area of Shoreline, they are hopping mad, and they're hopping mad at the council for not doing anything. And you know what? They have every right to be that way. So you know what's easy to do? Put the barrels back in with the flashing lights on it. If our snowplow guy has to stop and move them, you know what? That's fine. Yeah, if it prevents somebody's dog or somebody from getting hit by a car, then it's worthwhile. Can I make a resolution to at least do that so we have something to walk away from the meeting from?
Sorry, Bob, I'm sorry, there's no way I can have something put in place tonight. I can take an action plan in place, but I cannot get the work done tonight. I do not have
All right.
enough staff to do that.
Okay. When
Those guys
I
are-
come back, I will volunteer to help.
12-hour shift. Right?
Okay.
I got 2 guys on days and 2 guys on nights working 24/7. Right?
All right, that's fine.
There will be nothing physically in the road tomorrow morning. I will work to get something done on the course of the next few days so that there are additional barriers and signages up. But there's no way it's gonna happen overnight tonight.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And I will volunteer my personal time to help out if need be. And you can hold me to that.
I will also. I will also. If it'll help there, I'll get out there and be the helper.
And I appreciate that. I'll have to understand the legal implications of you guys working on the road and getting hurt. So let me see.
I won't volunteer for working on the road, but be glad to volunteer to look at the data. Over time.
So I have the following things to have the engineering team initiate, okay? One, we're gonna get data from the smart signs that do collect data. We will look at adding radar cameras that, capture both the vehicle plate and the speed, so that we can use that, but that takes a bit longer, that equipment's fairly expensive. We will add the radar signs that we have, we'll add a couple more of those on that road. And we will add warning signs that we will put up as, with rotating signage, so that people will see new signs from time to time. As I said, we're working on putting a street light at the entrance to Deerwaters at the north end of town. We'll look at how quickly we can lease a community gateway sign, and we'll get the barrels and flashing lights up as quickly as we can get them leased from the company.
Mayor, can you add the double stripe, for whenever the time
Yeah.
comes that's possible? Because I actually
Yeah,
do,
we're gonna
I
do
do
the
think that's
recommendations
effective.
of the study. We'll do the recommendations of the study as well, which is the striping, et cetera,
Right.
in the
Thank you.
spring.
Now, the road's not wide enough to do the double striping and then put a white line on the right side, right?
Right, we don't think we can stripe the sides, because it's not it's not a breakdown lane, so, I mean, you could put it an inch off the curb, I suppose. But that makes it pretty narrow.
Hey, while
We'll
you're
have to make sure our lanes are the proper width after we put the striping in.
while you're putting up signs, and this would be more appropriate for the spring and summer and fall, but I mean, it's a bike route also, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how many signs we can put up, but all at the same time, but it is a bike route. That would be possibly, I don't know if that's going to encourage people to slow down or not, but it is an actual bike route in the warm weather.
So I'm sorry, Chris, my understanding, you're saying one of the signs should recognize that it's also a bike route?
Yeah,
what
or
you're saying?
something. Watch for bikes, watch for dog walkers. It's just an acknowledgement. We don't have sidewalks. We have narrow roadways. Even especially in the winter, I'm glad Carol brought this up, but especially in the winter, people do have to walk their dogs in the road. The road's narrow. People are still speeding, even though there's snow. There's got to be some signage that's going to help. I don't know. I don't know how you fix stupid. That's what some people would say. I don't know how you fix that with people, but you just multiple modes of attack, I think, just like the council has been suggesting, I think is really what we should do here. With what you've just listed.
Okay,
And prioritize the ones that we can get done, soon.
Yeah.
sooner than later.
well, yeah, we're gonna do them in order of which ones can happen the fastest, sure. We'll get them all ordered, but some will come sooner than others. Okay, any other comments on the speed study? Okay, well, thanks Tori and Mike for your help tonight. Thanks council for all your good suggestions. And I'll meet with Public Works tomorrow and engineering and get that started. Okay, next item is, do we have someone to address the fee schedule? I know we talked about it last time and said we bring it back, but where are?
This one, I think, is actually a new one that Polly
Oh,
was
okay.
working on with.
Okay, good. So Polly, are you covering this or?
Yeah, I can cover it. I thought that Jan was also involved with this, but I may be mistaken. I know Cameron was kind of handling
Yeah.
it, but I'm happy to step in and have looked at it. So the maximum fine or fee that you can charge for a parking violation is $1,500. And $1,500. I just want to double check it. Maybe it's sorry, I misspoke. It's $1,000. We're suggesting 500. I think for the second, 250 for the first, and 500 for the second. If you can, yeah, Alicia.
Lisa's not doing this, I am.
Oh, you are. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Sorry, it's down a little ways. We'll see the red.
Oh, is this section 5
There it
you're
is.
talking about?
Yeah, section 5. So I think what was recommended, I think what we recommended was 500. And we can always, if we start at 500, we can always reduce it. But if it's 250, let's say for the first one, then you can't increase it. I mean, you know, so we thought, let's do 500. And if there's a reason why it should be reduced, or we want to start with kind of a softer impact, we can start off at 200. We can reduce it to 250, but obviously you can't increase it. So I think that was the reasoning here. And it's a little confusing because we added in some zeros to match what else, the layout of everything else in the fee schedule. And maybe that's something we should change the next time we redo it, is just taking out the zeros for the cents. But
So Polly, I mean, we have parking violations are 500 and that's great. And then we have non-moving vehicle violations. I mean, what does that mean? Because we have trailers being parked by developers and builders, Does that qualify as a parking violation or what? Cause I mean, we can't have those we had a guy, parked a trailer in the Hammerhead where we turn around and snow there.
To me, that's a parking violation because it's parked where it is, non-moving vehicle. I'm not, let me
I mean,
just,
is that just creating confusion or?
yeah, maybe
for me.
it is. Could be, hold on.
Cause I'm happy to take it off the list if it's not adding value for the community.
Yeah. 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm kind of filling in on this and my
Yeah,
resident expert,
On holiday.
police officer who I hand all this over to is, having a good time. If there's anything else we can talk about while I just look into this.
That's fine. We'll go back to the ordinance and look at the language there, but first of all, I guess I talked to the council about this, I think last time. Our current fee schedule is not enough to get these guys to take action. These $50 and $100, they just said that to them, that's great, $100 a day, that's fine.
That's
Our own,
really what it feels
our,
like. around here.
our owners take care of this and
Yeah.
they don't even look at it on the bill. So the goal is to shove it up there where it hurts. What Polly mentioned is that, in a lot of cases, we would say, okay, since the fee is $500, but because it's your first violation, we'll give you a break, it's only $250 this time, if it happens again, it's $500. And $500 every single time after that. Okay, so that's.
Yeah, so Mayor, on these code violations, this is per incident? Like if somebody's
Yeah,
parked
and
for 3
per
days, it would be
minute.
3 times 500?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And
It'll
but
stay.
what about something like unauthorized dumping or littering, is that, it feels like more of a one-off thing. What is that supposed?
Well, I
Or
mean,
littering.
if you've got a yard full of rubbish, we give you a certain amount of time to clear up the rubbish. We'll say you have 3 days to get it, get a dumpster in here, get it all hauled off. And after that, it's $500 every day.
Okay, that makes sense. What about
So
building construction without a permit? I mean, that's only going to be, let's say you catch somebody that doesn't have the permit, but they've started something.
Yeah,
It's,
I don't know when they started necessarily, but we watch them every day after it's reported. And if they haven't got the permit and they show up for work the next day, they get dinged again.
I think we need to make these fines very clear that, that they are per day, and we define what a day is.
Yeah.
For each 24 hours they occur, that constitutes a separate and distinct violation. As someone who's got a lot of experience enforcing state laws, I can tell you get a lot of arguments over that if we don't make that abundantly clear in our ordinance. And so I would urge that we insert some language to that effect, so that it is clear, it's not just a one-off, it's for every 24 hours that you scoff the law, you will see an additional fine imposed, and that each one is a separate and distinct violation.
Yeah, and it says here at the bottom, Jonathan, we do go out and hand them a separate violation for the next day. So we'll get one on the 23rd, we'll get one on the 24th, we'll get one on the 25th. So we'll have records in our system of each time that they were informed that they're in violation, and so when they come begging, we say, you've gotten one every day for the last 7 days. Okay, you haven't done anything about it, you haven't asked for extensions, you haven't asked for, so you owe us $3,500, thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to make that abundantly clear, because our goal obviously is compliance,
Right,
not enforcement.
right.
But if people are going to force us to go to the enforcement route, we should be bulletproof in that.
And I'm pretty sure, I guess probably we can check with you and Cameron, I think our language talks about that somewhere.
Yeah, I thought it did. I'm just trying to look at that. I was just trying to find that to see if in our code it says that. because that is very,
Yeah,
difficult, and I thought
I just couldn't
we
find
could
it.
catch all at the end, but if not, I agree. I think it would be a good clarification, just to say that every day, you can get a separate violation. That's very standard.
Yeah,
Like,
every 24 hours constitutes a separate and distinct violation.
right.
And should we prepare, kind of a memorandum here for all the contractors that we know in town, so that, listen, maybe they'll start self-policing themselves if they see the fines. I mean, the whole goal here is to get the damn
Compliance.
vehicles
Yeah.
off the street, because they're, I can't remember, there was a roundabout, it's like just coming down here the other day. You could not get through there, and it's icy on top of it. And then, I mean, it's all over town. So
Yeah.
if we can just get this.
Yeah,
out
we would,
as soon as
I
possible.
mean, we have standard meetings with these guys, at the beginning of every job. So we would, any new job, this would be covered, and then we'll go out and get everybody in place and hand them information.
Do we have a good contractor, update mechanism, like for things like this, where we could, do a blast to all the key contractors in town, such that, I mean, the whole idea again is not.
Compliance.
Yeah, it's just to, get the vehicles off the street, especially this time of year, which plows can't get by, it's just ridiculous. So, maybe we can develop a little bit.
We have a contact with all of the top general contractors, for all the jobs, both the individual homes being built as well as the developers. The issue is that they are not in particularly good control of their subs,
Yeah,
right?
well, that's what I'm thinking.
And I don't have access to all their subs. They have to do that. They're the ones that get the fine. Then they get to go talk to their subs and say, you're paying for this instead of me, but yeah, I mean, like, and then, and it's not just building, but, yesterday, the day before, sometime in the last 2 days, there were 3 moving trucks on the hill.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And that,
You couldn't get around.
and then there were 2 cars parked on the other side.
Yeah, how can you be so idiotic to have a
I know.
big truck on this
So I
side
sent-
and another truck on
I
this
sent the
side?
guys
Other
out,
people
really sent the guys out to get them, sent the guys out to get them moved. Right, and, knocked on doors till we found out whose cars they were and got those moved. But,
Polly, do we have solid authority to tow?
yes,
Because if all else fails,
we do.
I can assure you that if you tow 1 or 2 vehicles, word will get out quickly and people will not repeat that.
We do tow, I'm in a dialogue with the sheriff's department to get some additional training on the whole process and how it works. And, Cameron tells me we can get our own tow call list. We don't have to use theirs if they're not responsive. Apparently we do have to sticker. Vehicles. And so Dan has got a bunch of those stickers now, so we can sticker them. And so, and then I put a date and time and take a picture of it. And then if nothing's happened in 24 hours, then we can tell.
What a waste of time for our staff. That's the big,
I know.
that's the other side of this.
I know.
They could be doing so many other things, but,
This is why we
that's
want-
one thing, the communication mechanism to primes and subs would be really important here,
This is why we want compliance, not enforcement.
Right.
Enforcement is way too resource intensive.
Yeah, exactly.
So the word will get out pretty quickly. Generally, these guys talk pretty quickly. The first guy when guys get towed, they know it, and they tell their buddies, because they need a ride to the place to get their car back, or whatever.
Yeah.
And when they get dinged for $500, they start looking at it. And if they get dinged for $500 a day, then, it gets out pretty quickly. And the major, these guys need their subs to show up. And if they're not complying, then they'll, they have to go find different subcontractors. Because he's not gonna pay it. You're not gonna pay because the tile guy decided to show up on a Sunday, in a snowstorm and park his truck on the street and do the thing. Right? So.
Well, sooner the better.
So there is a recommendation of some language here. Probably, did you get clarity
Yes.
on that?
So I was able to look into both of those. So I do agree that from a legal perspective, it makes sense to add in the bottom area there about the 24 hours accruing every 24 hours or as a separate and distinct violation. And also the non-moving vehicle violations are things like registration, you know,
Okay,
bad,
got the sticker on the license plate, that kind of stuff.
yeah, equipment issues, that type of thing.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't come up a lot, but those are the type of things.
So this is the resolution language. Basically, getting council approval to repeal and replace the fee schedule to increase fines for the general ordinance violations, parking violations, and make technical corrections, which would be the language that Polly and Jonathan just talked about. So if there are no more questions, then I'd like a motion to adopt the time of this modification to the town of Hideout fee and rate schedule. Also moved.
Second.
And do you want to do that as amended to add that language, just to make that
Yeah.
clear?
Yeah, I'm sorry, as to modify and add the language as we discussed, making clear the daily 24-hour restart or whatever, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Each 24 hours constitutes a separate and distinct
Separate and
violation.
distinct violation, yeah. Okay. Chris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
and Ralph? Yes. Thank you, guys and gals. Appreciate that. That will help us make a statement, so that's great. Thank you very much. The next item, I'll go back to the top. The next, sorry, the sizes, when this thing changes, it modifies, so it takes me a second to get it, so you can all read it. Item 4 is consideration to adopt ordinance to amend municipal code title 10, chapter 16, definitions to allow holiday lights from Thanksgiving to March 1st of each year versus, I think it currently runs from December 1st, I think. Correct. And so Chris has brought that forward. So we'll take comment from the council on whether or not you all have issues with that or are comfortable with moving this thing forward.
Well, I certainly got the input that we better move this back to Thanksgiving, otherwise I'll not have dinner on the table the next time. How's that?
I'm personally fine with it. I think it's a good idea.
I think that, Ralph, we're not gonna enact code, to maintain a peaceful relationship in the home. But we will do it, if the community thinks it's a reasonable thing to do.
There were several other folks down
Yeah,
there
I know.
who hit me on that.
Hey, so Mayor, I'm definitely in favor of this, but question. I know there are some homes that have holiday lighting that were on before Thanksgiving even. Are we doing enforcement? Like, should we be expecting enforcement after March 1st?
Yes,
And then who's the enforcement officer? Remind me.
it's one of Dan's guys, name is
Or
Andy. He does
Is
that,
Andy
but
here
it's-
after dark?
they do come, right now, they're here all night, but yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
now they
We
are,
have,
but,
we have people that do, we don't patrol every night after dark, but we certainly have, particularly in the summer, it's hard to do because after dark is quite late.
Right.
So, but we can certainly work with Dan to have if we've been informed of anything, we'll have somebody come out and validate.
and is our process, like when there are homes that probably the same homes that had their lights out prior to Thanksgiving may go past me March 1st. Is there like a process where you send them a note first? Hey, just a reminder, this is our
Yeah,
ordinance.
we would sticker their front door. And then, we would stick it in their bill.
And so
Yeah.
the fee and rate schedule reflects, per day.
Yeah, we have, I think so, Polly, doesn't that allow us to do that?
Yes. We can do administrative, and again, it's per day. I think that these will start from what I recall, and I think Thomas is still on here, but what I remember when we talked about doing kind of a soft start, right? With the nighttime sky, dark sky ordinance. But so the idea is to put people in compliance, give them a warning, but if they don't abide, then we can start doing administrative fines.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Polly. And I know I talked to Carol over at the retreat, and she is finally writing up, I think, a draft press release for the fact that Hideout has adopted the dark skies ordinance. We want it to get out, and be better known. I think that all go hand in hand in the education and, getting people used to it before we start really cracking down. We want to give them a chance to comply.
Well, they have a certain number of years, Chris, actually, for our ordinance. Now, not the holiday lighting, but the dark sky. But we do have hang tags ready to go on doors of homes that are observed to have lights that are not in compliance. And it says, we want to make you aware that we've adopted dark sky. You have until, I forget the date, 2025, I think, or something like that, 26, I don't know, whatever it is, something. But we want to make you aware in case you have to do work on your outside lighting, that you would, you might as well change it to dark sky compliant and do it once instead of fixing these and then doing it again. So something to that.
Okay.
So I'm working with Carol and with the team to get these things posted. We gotta go out with, and survey because not everybody has their outside lights on every night, so we have to do it, across a period of time. Because, some people only put their outside lights on when they're going out to dinner or something, and they come home to a lighted house. Others are, done by the HOA, et cetera, so it takes a little while to get them all tagged, but we will get that done. In the meantime, we are, looking at changing the code for the holiday lighting. And need to decide if we want to move this forward. So,
Well, before that, I was just gonna, and I want to move it forward, but I was just gonna say, can we do anything with the newsletter and, the website to make sure that we got this communicated, as well? So, some people read the newsletter, some people say they read,
the app,
the website. I don't think anybody's using the app right now, but that's gotten a big zero on that one. But, those two things, the newsletter seems to have some impact. So, include those, Alicia, on the next time around.
I think the more we do that kind of thing, the more likely we are to get compliance and avoid enforcement, which is a good thing.
The biggest concern I have is the dark skies never, I think a lot of people just don't understand it, what its purpose is, the benefits, why we enacted it, the fact that there's shortcomings when they walk outside, their house and they feel like they don't have enough adequate light for safety. And I think, that's the biggest stumbling block on the dark sky that I think. I don't know how we could develop a better set of communication, information about it, what the benefits are. But, you know, I think we have an opportunity to do communication around it.
Yeah, Ralph, I would agree. There are a lot of people that have moved here, maybe from bigger cities or more metropolitan areas that, it's dark here, but that's actually one of the beauties of living in Hideout is how dark it is at night.
Yeah, and when I talk to people and I say, oh, by the way, the state of Texas enacted dark skies, the city of Pittsburgh adopted dark skies, they're in shock, you know? So I think we can do a better job of communication. Where's Valerie?
Well, I speak to her all the time, so if you want,
Yeah,
want to do
please do.
something, I can help
Please,
you.
please do.
I will do that.
Yeah, that would be great opportunity. Great opportunity for us teams and committees. Yeah.
So, I mean, we said we wanted to get the communication with team more involved in these kinds of things at the workshop, so.
There's a job for him.
I saw her today, it's like pretty good.
Let's try not to scare her off either. She's doing a great job, and I don't want to scare her off. All right, I would like a motion to amend Title 10, Chapter 16, as we described, to allow holiday lighting from from Thanksgiving to March 1st of each year.
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right, need a second?
Second.
All right. I'll move you there. Of course, up there. All right,
Which other?
all right, Bob. Are you there, Bob?
Yeah, yes, voting in favor.
You're okay with that? Okay. Carol,
Yes.
Ralph, Chris,
Yes.
and Jonathan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all. Just clear that. Okay, item 5 is an information item on the fire station. Since the last time we talked, we had, Glenn Gabler came forward and offered the town a piece of land that he won't be developing for several years, as a place to stage the station. We met with the chief, he looked at the site, and seems comfortable with it. He's happy this would be for a temporary station. Glenn is donating the land and the labor to put in the infrastructure, which is really terrific of them. Thomas is working with them on what it takes to get them the permits they need to do that. As far as because the temporary structure does not meet our standard code for what a building needs to look like. And we're pulling together a new estimate on that. The Epic team is pulling that together with Dylan, and we'll have that, I hope in the next week or so, and then we can figure out how we're gonna fund the installation costs for that. So that's where that is. We're pretty excited about it. Jonathan's been out there with me, looked at it, he did a lot of work to get Glenn involved, and it was really terrific, and we're excited. So, as is the chief, so hopefully by, our goal is sometime in March to have that thing in and ready to go. So that's where that is. And if there's likely to be a fundraising effort, in support of covering the costs all for the communities up and down SR 248. Once we have the cost estimates in, we'll take a look at that. Because free labor doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't give them a free building, it doesn't give them, you know.
There's parts, plumbing,
part-
wiring.
Exactly, that kind of stuff, right? So, materials that have to get covered, so we'll come back with an estimate on that and hopefully move that forward.
I think this will be a big deal because by my estimate, it'll reduce response times by about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's a really big deal in the EMS world.
It's huge. Really. Yeah. We've already got people volunteering funds, HOAs, 2A has volunteered funds, Deerwater's has volunteered funds. Not Deerwater's, Deer Mountain has volunteered funds. And I haven't even been to the businesses yet, so I expect that we'll have no trouble raising the money we need to get this done. Everybody sees it as high value. So that's where that is. Item 9. -1, 2, and 3, we have committee updates, maybe. I don't know who has anything to cover tonight, but anything on the EDC, Ralph, we just had the workshops, I think we're pretty clear. But
Yeah, nothing other than, I know I was in communication, well, in the EDCs, to myself, in communication with, Jenny and Ryan, so they'll be ready for, next time around. Chris has been on another group that also, so all the way around, we've been communicating. And they'll be ready for, I talked to Jenny today, and we're, on track. So look for the next piece of, look for the MDA on the next one. The other one that we've been working on was Jonathan, myself, and Tony, and Jan and JD have been on the Ross Creek side of doing the Ross Creek evaluations. I think back to, bias for action, we need to move faster on one piece where we've been talking to, I think his name is Dave Anderson, and his group, which also includes like a public or quasi-public group of folks that are planners and do developments like the Ross Creek. They're interested in giving us a proposal, at least, to make an RFP faster, easier. They may even put together the developers. My recommendation is like, let's move on some of these things faster as soon as we can, because part of, if you think about it, the Bloom development should integrate and have, kind of it should be organically built in a way that we have leverage from one onto another and that they complement one another. So the faster we move on Forest Creek, I think better. That's my point here.
And we're ready for you to move that team to bring forward your recommendation.
Yeah, I think next meeting, let's plan on having the Ross Creek piece, because if we don't move,
That's great.
we're not gonna get it, we're not gonna move.
Let's go.
And I think we'll also have a good, that will be a good time from the Bloom to understand, are they jumping off at this point? Do we have approval? So good timing for next month.
Okay,
Those are the two big things.
thank you, Ralph. Thomas, are you still on? I hid my list here, I'm sorry, for anything in the DRC.
No, there's nothing new under DRC. No new applications have come in, just ongoing interior work mostly. So nothing yet.
Okay. Carol, anything new from the Transportation Committee? I know we talked about the buses and all, but.
There might be a later bus during Sundance. I'm still checking that out. I haven't been able to find information for sure, but usually during Sundance, they do run the buses a little bit later. So if I can find that out, I'll let Carol Custerly know. She can maybe get the word out.
Terrific, thank you. All right. Polly, to my knowledge, we don't have, anything for executive unless you have something that I'm aware of.
No, but I would like to just remind the council about their duty to take the auditor's course on the Open Public Meetings Act training and do the little test so you get your certificate. It's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions at all, especially, Commissioner Gunn, or Council Member Gunn, any questions because regarding open public meeting, although I know you've had training from your time on the Planning Commission. But if there are any questions, just reach out to me directly. And also, I believe we also have an obligation to update your disclosures and ethical, your ethics documents, just pledges to abide by the ethics rules and put down, make sure that your disclosures are up to date.
If you get me the documents, I'll execute them right away.
It's not just you, I think it's everybody has to redo their documents.
What's the stat, Alicia, you usually track that, right?
Mhm.
What's our status? Do you know?
That-
Yeah, I mean, individual status?
Yeah,
Do we have a checklist or do we have a spreadsheet or something?
I'll send it out to you. Yeah, and I'll send out that link for the OPMA training as well. And then you can send me your certificates when you get done.
It feels like I just took it, I don't know if I have or not.
As far as I know, I'm the only one certified for 2024 so far.
I beat you.
Of the council members.
Okay. I had to make sure that I could
Yeah.
pass it, before I sent it to everybody else.
Okay, thank you, Polly, for the reminder. Thank you, Alicia, for your efforts to get everybody the information they need. If there's nothing else, then I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ralph. All right, thank you, Bob. I'm gonna put you down as the second since Ralph snuck in.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, Chris, okay to end?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes,
Bob?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
And Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you all very much, especially on a holiday night. I appreciate you making time for this. We'll get the workshop in this month. And well, that's it. We'll call it a night and we'll see you in February, I believe it was 8th. We'll be back together again, just a few weeks from then.